evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Slasher Club, where there is no measure to terror and entertainment. Tonight, we will be doing the direct-to-DVD Child's Play movie, Curse of Chucky, which came out in 2013, and Derek will be giving you the synopsis in 3, 2, 1, now.
Alright, in this movie we follow a new family's journey to this beautiful franchise. We start off with the handicapped girl Nika, whose legs don't work as well as ours, receiving a package, a mystery package, and to our surprise, guess what's in the package? A Child's Play doll. Later that night, Nika's mom, Sarah, is found dead in their house, and Nika and the rest of her family believe that it was led to suicide due to her mother's mental state. So they pay their respects and mourn the death of her, and later on in the movie, murders start taking place inside the house. People start blaming Nika due to her opposition from her sister for many things, and due to her sister having an affair with their nanny. But later on they find out Chucky is the murderer. And later on we discover that Chucky is a link to Nika's past.
It was directed by Don Macchione, produced by David Kushner, written by Don Macchione, music by Joseph Loduca, cinematography by Michael Marshall, and now the location, which is Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And now onto the cast. We have Fiona Dorff, daughter of Brad Dorff, who plays Nika Pierce, also known for Casey in True Blood and Tabitha Ewens in Shameless, and good leader Tavis in the Purge TV series. We have Brad Dorff as Chucky, Danielle Bizzuti as Barb Pierce, also known for Michelle Crane in Insidious Chapter 2, and Amanda Cantwell in True Jackson VP. God, I miss that show. She played a very good office assistant. We have Brennan Elliott as Ian, Maitland McConnell as Jill, Chantel Kesnell as Sarah Pierce, Summer H. Howell as Alice Pierce, A. Martinez as Father Frank, Jennifer Tilly is back as Tiffany, Alex Vincent is back as Andy Barkley, and we have Adam Herdick as Officer Stanton, who we'll also see in the next movie. And on to the slasher stats.
I counted a total of 10 kills in this movie. The first kill being Chucky stabbing Sarah in the gut. The second, Father Frank killed in a car crash. Two bodies also killed in the car crash, which is a total of 4 so far. Number 5 is Jill electrocuted. 6 is Barb's eye gouged by Chucky. 7 is Ian's jaw chopped off with an axe. 8, we go to a flashback where we figure out that Sarah's first husband is sadly drowned. 9 is Officer Stanton's throat slit. And 10 is Alice's grandmother suffocates.
Right. On to favorite kill. For me, Father Frank loses his head. Not metaphorically, but physically. I mean, reason why I like this is the scene right before it, Officer Stanton, starts talking about the priest, claiming that he's a good guy, that he's his sponsor, he gave up drinking, and here he is in a car crash, and actually, he didn't losing his head isn't how it started. First, he was poisoned by Chucky with rat poisoning. Then he crashed due to basically dying from the inside out. And he gets into the car crash, and Stanton dumbly tells them, "Hurry up, get him out, get him out." Which, that's the first problem. You're actually supposed to make sure that the person's no longer bleeding out, or at least has a head on his shoulders before you rip a piece of metal out of his throat. And then the blood gushing out into Stanton's face, which is it made me gag. And then just the head rolling after, and so many elements in this. The rat poisoning, the blood, and the model of Father Frank after and before his head is cut off, and just the big payoff is we watch his hand still gripping not a crucifix, rosary beads, as again his head is just gushing out blood into the cop's face, and the look on his face, on his disembodied head, it's just gory. And so many elements went into this to make it look so good. What about you?
My favorite kill has to be Jill getting electrocuted. It is a subtle yet brutal kill at the same time. It is also a silent kill. And I think it's very creative, given how Chucky takes a bucket of water, dumps it on the floor, and the water reaches an outlet that she has been plugging her laptop into, which causes the electrocution. She is not only electrocuted, but we also notice that her eyeball is starting to melt. And like I said, this entire kill is silent yet deadly. For me, it's the most creative kill on here.
On to Lee's favorite kill. For me, Jill gets electrocuted with laptop.
Oh.
I just felt it was boring. I mean, yeah, it's silent. It's supposed to be one of the highlights of this, but really the only thing doing most of the work is the bucket and the water. I mean, at first when I watched this kill on YouTube, I could barely see her eye burning in the scene until I finally watched this later on the unrated version, and then I can see it, but it just was stupid. And I watched the deleted scene where actually her body catches on fire later on when Chucky goes to attack Nika as she's going to the elevator, and it's just, I could see why that part was cut out, but just The whole scene, yeah, again, it's silent but deadly, does not make it for this. And again, it's anything anyone could do. Dump a bucket of water and electrocute someone. It did nothing for me. It felt boring. It may have been creative to you, but it's just another electrocution to me. What about you?
My least favorite kill has to be Sarah getting stabbed by Chucky. Yes, it's the kill that started all the murders and assumptions in the entire movie, but it was basically just another stabbing. Plus, it was off screen, so we didn't really get to see what actually happened in that stabbing. We don't know if Chucky did it in a creative way, or if he just decided, okay, it's time to kill her, let's get it over with.
Actually, we do see what happens in the flashback.
Well, yeah, all we see is her... Oh, I can't remember.
With a pair of scissors in her gut.
A pair of scissors. But that's all we see, just a pair of scissors in her belly.
And we also kind of get the scream.
It just didn't feel like enough for me, especially as a Chucky kill.
Most goriest kill. For me, Ian has his lower jaw chopped off.
I'd have to agree with you on that one.
I mean, you literally get to see part of his spine coming out as an after effect, and the guy literally just lost his jaw. All you can see is his tongue and his upper jaw, as there's nothing down here except for his spine. Makeup's really good, the blood effect, and just... it's really well done. On to the facts. Budget of $5 million. According to Brad Dourif, he had to wear a wig and massive amounts of makeup during the flashback scene so he could look 20 years younger. Maybe more. 44 minutes before we hear Brad Dourif's first lines. First film in the series to be a direct-to-video release. Longest film in the series at 97 minutes. First digitally shot film in the series. First time Chucky tries to possess a female character. Chucky's face had to be covered with tape due to the actress playing Alice being completely terrified of the stitched up face. And Barb's full name is Barbie Pierce. The funny thing is, she kind of does look like a Barbie doll. But minus the blonde hair. But onto the overview or opinion.
Would you like to go first?
I'd like you to go first.
Alright. Well, seeing this movie 2 times and seeing it only a couple years before, my personal opinion is this was one of the really good movies in this franchise. I'd like to say it was the most interesting and most fun for me to watch. Definitely a step up from Seed. And I liked the creative story and backstory behind this movie. Like, we finally understand who Charles Lee Ray was, why he's now targeting this family, and we understand why Nika is the way she is, given her legs. We also understand why her mother's mental state is the way it is. And we discover, we just learn about Chucky's backstory and everything to do with the family. Yeah, I enjoyed the story, and I enjoyed everything about the movie. The kills were creative. The movie took its time with revealing Chucky. And I liked how the family itself started to turn against one another. It was just a fun way to keep the movie going. So, but it wasn't perfect, but I'd give this movie a solid 8.
Alright. For me, I felt this movie was honestly really good. I mean, again, it brought the Child's Play series back into the horror genre instead of leaving it like Seed into the horror comedy genre, which, in my opinion, is the worst genre you could have. It's not a good mix of the two genres, and I like the effects in this movie. I mean, I'm watching Chucky as he's walking. It just looks a lot more human than Seed and Bride and the third movie. It looks really good.
I'd like to point out, it looks a lot more real than when you saw Glendo running in Seed.
Yes, we know. It just, in Seed, that felt like a scary movie. The first one. But here, this was actually realistic. And yeah, there were kills that I felt could have been done better, like Jill or the grandmother or Nika's mother, and we could have at least seen more. But there was one scene in the deleted scenes that I wish they'd left in. It was what happened before Daniel Pierce ends up dying, and it actually turns out it was Charles Lee Ray who drowned Daniel, literally ruined their family, and actually, this felt like something similar to Leatherface and what was it?
You were next?
Nope. And a bit more of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, which both were really good movies, helped with the origin story of the original movie, and they basically did that in here. It gave us the reason why Charles Lee Ray was on the run, why, I mean, it literally, the flashback starts right before the beginning of the first movie, and it really helps. It gave us the story. It explains why Nika's mother is so obsessed with sunflowers, why Nika's a paraplegic, why Chucky does what he does. And actually, it brings back some really good characters. It brings back Tiffany, which I liked in Bride. It brings back the OG Andy Barclay, Alex Vincent, in this movie, and it kind of turns him into a badass. It references the original movies, talking about the Tillys, the Kincaids, the Barclays, and whatever the family was in the second movie. But it really references the right way. Again, that ending the scene after the ending credits was really good. Just badass Andy Barclay blowing Chucky's head off. Like, play with this.
The aftermath in Cold.
Bang. And yeah, it does lead into Cold. It perfectly, and I just really like this movie, and it's got the one element where everyone turns on each other. Ian already knew that, not Sarah, Barbie was cheating on him with Jill. Jill, was a total bitch, despite also caring for Alice, and a lot of the in the end, a lot of the people started blaming Nika because they felt, oh, due to her mental state, it started deteriorating again, she gets tied up, and that scene with the nanny cam, where Ian's just going through it, he goes to live feed and he finally turns around and he gets launched onto his ass by the wheelchair, and it leads up to the best kill, one of the best kills of the movie, and it just, this whole movie just works. The prosthetics used for the face, for Ian's face, for Father Frank, the eyeball that Chucky steps on, just, and I didn't really feel there were any missed hits in any of the lines, like, you've got your mother's eyes, and they were always too fucking close! Just perfect. And it was a callback to the flashback scene, and just, I think Nico's honestly right now one of the better final characters in the movie.
She definitely was a badass.
And we get to see more of her next week in Cult of Chucky with Andy Barclay. Which there's also that scene where she's basically pissing Chucky off. That's where I also mentioned they had that deleted scene where Jill's body catches fire. But here, they did perfectly, where she's just like, so what you're saying is you didn't actually kill Andy Barclay. It's unfinished resolve, which to her which she even makes fun of his gender, saying, "Are you a man?" Bitch, why are you assuming Chucky's gender?
He's a doll of a man.
He is, yes, he is. But I didn't really see anything wrong with this movie, except for a few things that could have been done a whole lot better. Again, Jill, the grandmother. But other than those, this was really good. So, 9.7. Yep. So, guys, we'll see you next week with Cult of Chucky, the second direct-to-DVD movie to come out, and the last in the original franchise, since we're getting a new series, the new remake in, I think November of this year. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and any final words?
Legends never die.
True. Very true. And, ladies and gentlemen, make sure your eyes aren't too close. You might have a complex like the actress who played Barbara, which actually, funny fact, before we close out, she actually gained a complex after the scene where she was always afraid her eyes were too close, and it's just so funny. And if you guys do get the Blu-ray, please watch the commentary, like Playing with Dolls, or The Legacy Chucky. And so yeah, good night, goodbye, and we'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen.